Welcome, everyone. The World Cup is literally just 2 days away, and man, the excitement is absolutely electric. So today, we're going to decode the numbers. We're diving deep into the history books for this explainer to analyze the data, the facts, and the sheer mathematics behind the greatest tournament on Earth. We're stripping away all the subjective opinions, and we're just looking purely at what the historical data tells us.
You know, history is packed with incredible milestones, but you gotta ask yourself, which of these massive football records are genuinely impossible to break in the modern era? I mean, over the decades, we've seen some superhuman feats out there on the pitch. But as the game evolves, some of these numbers, they've effectively been frozen in time. So could anyone playing today actually shatter these milestones, or are they locked away in the vault of history forever? Let's find out.
Okay, let's dive right into this with Section 1, Goal Records and the Truly Unbreakable Milestones.
Now, when we talk about unbreakable records, the ultimate currency in football is, of course, the goal. And at the absolute summit of goal-scoring history sits Germany's Miroslav Klose with an incredible 16 goals. It's crazy when you look at how narrowly he edges out the competition here. Right behind him is the phenomenal Brazilian Ronaldo Nazario, sitting at 15. And rounding out this elite trio is another German legend, Gerd Müller, holding down a massive 14-goal record. To even get close to these numbers, you need more than just talent. You need the insane longevity to perform at your peak across multiple World Cup tournaments.
Now, what's really interesting about this next number, 13. Currently, Lionel Messi sits on 13 total World Cup goals, but he actually shares this number with just Fontaine. Why does this matter? Well, because while Messi racked up his 13 goals across a long, storied career, Fontaine's record is it's absolutely insane. He scored all 13 of his goals in a single World Cup tournament. To achieve that kind of density in just a month-long competition, yeah, that's something we're likely never, ever gonna see again.
And hey, speaking of impossible density, we have to talk about the number 5. Back in 1994, Oleg Salenko managed to pull off an absurd 5 goals in just a single match. Just try to imagine the level of dominance you need to put the ball in the net 5 separate times in 90 minutes against the very best teams in the world. It's a spectacular anomaly in the data, for sure. But listen, these historical records aren't entirely safe. Enter Kylian Mbappé. He is rapidly closing in. He already has 12 total goals to his name, and he's hurtling toward Klose's overall record at a truly terrifying pace. And here's the real kicker. He already owns the record for the most goals scored specifically in World Cup finals with 4. He is literally the ultimate modern threat to these historical milestones.
Okay, moving away from individual stats for a second, let's rewind to a 1954 clash between Austria and Switzerland. Austria scored 7, and Switzerland scored 5. You do the math, that adds up to a massive 12 goals total in a single game. To this very day, this clash remains the highest scoring match in all of World Cup history. Honestly, with the highly tactical defensive structures of modern football, a 12-goal game is virtually unthinkable today.
And when it comes to overarching team legacies, well, one nation stands alone with the number 5. Yep, Brazil. With 5 total World Cup titles to their name, they hold the absolute record for national team success. It's the ultimate benchmark of generational excellence, and every other country is still just trying to play catch-up.
Let's move on to Section 2 and see how this builds. The impossible stadium attendance.
So, shifting our focus from goals and trophies to the sheer physical scale of the game, 173,000. Just let that sink in for a second. That's practically enough people to fill an entire city. Back in 1950, 173,000 people packed into Brazil's Maracanã Stadium to watch a single match. Try to visualize that absolute sea of humanity. This record is genuinely unbreakable because, well, it's rendered physically impossible today due to strict modern seating and safety rules. We will simply never see a stadium crowd of that size in football ever again.
Now, we all know the saying, goals win games, but defenses win tournaments. Shifting our focus to the other end of the pitch, goalkeepers Peter Shilton and Fabien Barthez share the ultimate all-time record for completely shutting down opponents. They both hold the record for the most clean sheets in World Cup history, with 10 each. Keeping the world's absolute greatest strikers completely off the scoreboard 10 separate times, that is a monumental statistical achievement.
And you know, the massive pressure of the World Cup, it brings out a fierce, sometimes completely uncontrollable intensity. Looking at the discipline data, Argentina's Javier Mascherano holds the record for the most yellow cards in the tournament's history. And when it comes to the ultimate penalty, French legend Zinedine Zidane famously sits right up there among the players with the most red cards. It just goes to show that even the greatest players on earth are pushed to their absolute breaking points on this stage.
All right, on to section 3, decoding the GOAT debate. So, we've looked at the unbreakable records, and now it's time to apply our numerical lens to the most subjective topic in sports, choosing the greatest of all time. And honestly, it entirely depends on what specific metrics you're looking at. If your primary metric is World Cup trophies, well, Pelé stands alone with 3. He holds a total of 3 World Cup titles, which is a record unmatched by anyone else in history. Plus, the numbers show he won his very first trophy at just 17 years old. If the ultimate goal of the sport is to win the World Cup, Pelé's data makes a pretty compelling case that he's the greatest.
But wait, what if your metric is pure, unadulterated individual dominance in a single tournament? Then there is absolutely no one quite like Diego Maradona. The data and the history of the 1986 tournament brilliantly illustrate Maradona's superpower. He effectively won the World Cup for Argentina single-handedly. His ability to individually carry a team to the ultimate prize, that remains a historical superpower that totally defines his GOAT status.
Now, what if you value pure goal scoring and just unmatched longevity? If that's your metric, Cristiano Ronaldo is the ultimate scoring king. I mean, the numbers here are just staggering. He's the only player to have ever scored in 5 different World Cups. On top of that, he possesses an unbelievable 143 international goals. When it comes to relentless, enduring scoring output over a massive time frame, Ronaldo's math is completely undeniable.
And finally, we have Lionel Messi. If your metric is having absolutely every piece of the football puzzle, the math speaks for itself. He's got a record 26 matches played. He holds the record for the most Player of the Match awards. He's racked up 13 goals, 8 assists, and get this. He is the only player in history to win 2 World Cup Golden Balls. Now, before 2022, critics always pointed to his lack of a World Cup trophy, but his incredible victory fundamentally changed the narrative and definitively silenced those critics. By the numbers, he is the complete package.
So, we've laid out the data, we've looked at the goals, the sheer scale of the crowds, the longevity, and the pure dominance. Based strictly on the numbers we've decoded today, who is your ultimate GOAT? Drop your pick down in the comments. And hey, if you love diving into the math and history of the game just as much